People shouldn't be afraid of their government. Instead, governments should be afraid of their people. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. The topic of discussion today is whether or not it's going to be a presidential election or a general election first. Joining us this evening on the show are Mr. Senthil Thundaman, President of the CWC as well as the Governor of the Eastern Province, President's Council Maitri Gunratna, former Governor of the Central Province, Dr. Nala Godheva, Member of Parliament, Chaturanga Abhisinga, National Executive Committee Member of the National People's Power, as well as Attorney at Law Thivanka Artigala, Chief Organizer for Kalawana from the Samgi Janabala Vegaya. Also joining us this evening to pose questions from our panelists, on to my immediate right is Neeraj Thambi, Consultant Director, Newsfirst. On to my immediate left is Shihar Anis, Executive Director, Centre for Investigative Reporting. You too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to send your WhatsApp messages is 076 656 5353. The number once again 076 656 5353. You too can get engaged with our panelists in terms of posing your questions, as well as the Governor of the Eastern Province. Now, Senthil, a few months ago when you came on the show, you were not the Governor of the Central Province, Eastern Province. And when I asked you a question whether or not who you are supporting, you were very skeptic about it. You didn't mention any political party or any individual per se. Now we're talking about a general election or a presidential election. Whose candidature are you supporting now as the Governor of the Eastern Province?
No, more than a political decision, I have to take a decision based on the country's present situation. You know that the present President, His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe, he is not responsible for this crisis at any point. He was not even in half of the time in the Parliament. He came only in the middle of the Parliament, this thing. So there's a 225 MPs, including the CWC was also there. We have also raised a couple of times objections to the government when they have taken wrong decisions. But in spite of that, the government had not taken into consideration of seeing what is right and what is correct. The past president had taken a stern decision on whatever decisions he has taken. He's not worried. He didn't worry about the collateral decisions, collateral damages. So he just went on his own track. So that was one of the main reasons for the crash of the country, for which the present president is not even responsible 1% for it. Next coming is, after this president took over, I think there are a lot of other countries also which has gone under economic crisis after COVID. There have been several countries where you can name them. But after this president took over, I think everybody was given an opportunity to come and take over. And I find that nobody had come at the right time. Maybe after this president took over, there were a lot of people claiming that they could have taken, we could have come and all that. That always happened. Somebody who has to start the work, nobody comes. So when somebody starts, so His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe started this, and we wanted to support whoever comes forward. CWC was in that intention because I have in fact worked 15 years against the UNP government. I worked with former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
No, but now things are different. No, you have a post.
Yeah, that's what I'm just...
Jeevan Thundaman is the Minister of Cabinet Minister for Water
so
Supply.
That's what I'm just going to come to that. So 15 years we were working against this government, and in that moment whoever had come forward to take forward the country, we would have forgotten our past, whatever we had of clashes and all that, and stood with them to our end of the day, recovery of the country is the main issue. That's our main motive. We might be here from different political parties. Everybody is in the intention that, the country should get recovered. This is even you all also have the same intention that the country should get recovered. So on the recovery, whoever comes first, it's no point for me just stand out and blaming, whoever takes, you can't do. Best, we give our best shot to support them to see how we can do. So what stand we have took has been correct. His Excellency President Ranil Wickremesinghe has first removed these queue issues, which an era of queue, removed the queue issue. Then one by one, now you see the dollar has come less than 300 rupees. We never expected the dollar to come back so quick. And like that, the power and energy. now they are going to again reduce the prices. Like that, a lot of things are returning back to normal. We can't say that, when Ranil Wickremesinghe took as the president, the dollar was 390, now it's gone to 560. Nobody can claim that. You can't say when Ranil Wickremesinghe was there were 2,000 people polling on the road, and now to see there are 20,000 people polling. You can't say that. You can't say the hospitals, when Ranil Wickremesinghe took over, there were at least 10 hospitals functioning. Now there's no hospital function. You can't say that. Now the country is back to normal. Yes, the cost of living, economy destroyed. Economy is not built overnight. This economy was built from 1940, sometimes even before independence. My tea plantation economy was built before independence of this country. So this economy is a building process, step by step. Destroying an economy, you can do it overnight. So he took as a destroyed economy and is rebuilding.
Right.
So when he is rebuilding it, I feel that now he is not calling anybody to come and join UNP. He never called me to come and join UNP. He is only asking if people, you have a national interest in this country,
right,
you forget what party you are. There are a lot of ministers who are from different party who are, for the sake of the country, they are all getting together. So if he says no, you will have to be in the cabinet, you must be a UNP member, if you are a governor, you must be a UNP member, then I disagree with what the blames being put on.
Mr. Sendil, are you trying to say that you are supporting Ranil Wickremesinghe if there is a presidential election in the country in the coming few months?
Naturally, there will be a presidential election.
Yes. So
no.
Who are you going to support?
No. What my suggestion is, he is the best option. I feel right now. My assessment is
invariably you are saying is
invariably he is the best option. Yes, and I feel that he can recover it.
Yeah. You said for the last 15 years. You have been against the UNP, but if you look at the last 15 years, most of the time it was governed by the Rajapaksa family in the country, and at that time, someone from your party has been holding a cabinet portfolio. So invariably that shows that you all have been a deciding factor in the electoral system in the country, and every single time that you all have contested, you all have always supported the party who is in power.
Okay.
So that goes to show that you all also have agendas behind or motives behind the party. As such, you all don't necessarily support the opposition per se. You all have always been in power, and you all have always had a cabinet portfolio for the last 15 years.
I can mention clarify two matters. One is, we have not supported the president after the presidential election. We have supported Mahinda Rajapaksa in 2010 during the president election, 2014 during the president election, 15 he couldn't make it through. Again 2019 to Gotabaya, all we have supported before the president election. So we have not supported after the president election. So that means, before president election, you will and I will not know who is going to win. We have taken a risk on it. And second is,
you don't know who's going to win an election before election is
maybe with the support of the people we might know what. When you discuss with our people.
You've been a politician. You're coming from hailing from.
But don't you think all presidential candidates think that they are going to win and contest? Don't you think?
But
you think that
know,
no?
You
So
you should know who's going to win. Now 2010.
No.
You all definitely knew it was not Sarath Fonseca who was going to win a presidential election. It was Mahinda Rajapaksa.
So then do you think people who stood with Sarath Fonseca thought he is going to lose and stand with him, is it?
Party policies, party agenda.
Okay, so then my party policy is
there has
that
to be always losing side, no? And there has to be always winning side as well.
That's right. My party policy is no point sitting in the opposition and doing nothing for my community. Let me finish what is my party policy. My party policy is always I am being voted or we are being elected by people to do their work, support them on a police work or an AG work or a Grama Seva work or on a development work or some work. At least call the hospital and ask the doctor how is that patient, is he okay, can you please give him more concern. At least for some work, that's why they are voting us. They are not voting us for us to go to parliament, get salary, for us to have all the privilege. They are voting us to do a work for them.
So you're telling me
so I believe that
if you all can make an influence, maybe at the hospital or maybe at a police station, if your people
and
want
policy making also,
if someone if someone wants a favor done, that is what your party stands for. What about the innocent people who don't have that influence?
What do you mean by don't have? We are there to do their work, no? The innocent people's work, no?
So let's say your
now one person in Norelia.
Let's say put it into perspective. Let's say your electorate has 1,500 people. There are only 300 beds in the hospital that you're talking about.
Right.
What if all 1,500 people who voted in favor of you,
that's right,
of your political party, wants a bed at that 300 bed hospital? What
Yes.
will you all do?
What I'll do is I'll speak to the health ministry and get the ambulance and transfer them to the nearby hospital. Because I'm in the government ruling party, I will be able to do those things. So I'm just
you
sitting
have an
opposition.
agenda. So you have
Of
an
course,
agenda.
I have an agenda for my people to get their issues resolved.
Right.
So any political party, I don't think when you go to an voter and ask, no voter is going to say, no, I'm voting this candidate because I like him, I want him to be in the parliament, he talks well, I want him to get pay, I want him to get the privilege. None of one voter in Sri Lanka will say that. Every voter will say, I am voting that for a good country, for a good policy, for the development and all that.
Yeah, so
everybody.
Unfortunately, I have to say, the people's mindset in Sri Lanka changed a couple of years ago. That will
So
not
they
happen
say they
until
don't want
election.
any development or no policy planning, nothing. Only if the MP is happy, they're happy. Is it? No, my elected people are not like that. My elected, 1 minute, my elected people vote, 1 minute.
Let them decide.
My elected people vote for us to work for them. So I can do the work only from the ruling party, not from the opposition.
Right, so tell me, Sendil, now you are the governor of the Eastern Province.
That's right. That is only for the past 8 months. No, before that I was a politician.
Yeah, but then what about the people who's in your electorates?
So I will have a second person in command. No, in my party I'm not the only one man. No, I will have a second person in command. He carries over, take forwards over the commitments given by us.
I wish all of us had that privilege. Anyway, now I move to I wanted to move to Maitri Gunaratne, but I want to quickly move to Dr. Nala Gudeheva now, a member of Parliament. Sendil brought in a very important point. He said that Ranil Wickremesinghe is not even responsible for 1% of what has happened in the country in terms of the country's economy. I want you to, if you want to respond to that, you can start responding to that and then continue with your statement about the presidential and general election.
I totally disagree. Pardon me. I would say he's 100% responsible for that. Let me explain why. In 2015, when Yahapalna government came to power, it was Ranil Wickremesinghe who was controlling the scene, not President Sirisena, that we all know. So economy was in his hands. I was, in fact, at that election, I supported President Mahinda Rajapaksa. I was not a politician at that time. But after the government elected, I was happy in a way. People have voiced their opinion. A new government has come to power. Things are stable. That the new government could have continued and could have grown the economy better. But what did they do? As soon as they came to power, what did Ranil Wickremesinghe do? He stopped all major projects in the country. He stopped Port City, he stopped highway development, he stopped everything and started witch hunting. The investors ran away. So he couldn't continue from from where he started. Instead of taking the baton and running, he started witch hunting process, stopping all major projects, and within 1 year, the economy started collapsing. When he came to power, the growth rate was 5.5%. When he left, 5 years later, the growth rate was 2.1%. The economy didn't grow. There was no terrorism, apart from the Easter Sunday attack which happened last minute. There was no terrorism issue. There was no other issue. There was no corona. Everything was in place, but he couldn't sustain. Then, if you look at the economic collapse that took place in 2022, and who can say he was not responsible? Why did the economy collapse? Economic collapse because we have a serious debt crisis. In the debt crisis, 40 billion US dollars of debt, out of which 12 billion foreign 12 billion sovereign bonds. Who issued these sovereign bonds? It was during Ranil Wickremesinghe's time. 12.5 billion sovereign bonds were issued, and of which 11.5 were remaining. They are still remaining. To date, we have not settled that. So if you are talking about debt crisis, the bigger component of the debt crisis is because of the way he managed. So I would say he's very much responsible. Now today he's talking about developing the port sector. Who went and sold the Hambantota port, right? Now he says now we need to develop the port sector, attract investors there. We have given it for 99 years. And what did we get? They say we spent 1.75 billion. Let's assume there was corruption or whatever. The actual cost was 1 billion. So we got 1 billion, but the debt was never paid. The interest rate at that time was 3%. We never. Why did you have to go and lease out that port for a 3% debt? And he sold that and he borrowed that almost 8%. The foreign, the sovereign bonds. So I would say he's very much responsible for the economic crisis.
Right, Dr. Gudeheva. Now you seem to be at SJB meetings a lot now. We saw your photographs when the IMF representatives met the SJB as well. In the event the SJB wins an election next, they also say that you are going to be the Minister of Finance. True? False?
No, I think we all know the cabinet is decided by the president, whoever becomes the president. And
so let's say hypothetically Sajid Premadasa becomes the president?
Let's assume Sajid Premadasa becomes the president. He will select his cabinet. In fact, he has already mentioned who is going to be his finance minister. He has mentioned Dr. Harshadi Silla's name several occasions. And I have no such aspiration. In fact, I am one person who gave up a cabinet position and resigned during Aragal. I am the only person. I was appointed as the cabinet of mass media, and the following day I gave resignation. And I said, take my cabinet position back.
Right?
Yeah.
It was not accepted by Gotabaya.
It was not accepted. Let me explain. I said, why did I resign? I said, take my position and give it to somebody in the opposition and form a multi-party government. So that is what I thought. I was never looking for positions. Even today, I am not looking for position. My resignation was not accepted by President then. He requested me to stay on for 2 weeks until he dissolved the entire cabinet and reappoint multi-party cabinet.
What's the aspiration, Dr. Godeva?
I never came into politics because I wanted. I was forced into. In fact, when I contested Gampa...
So this is going to be the last time that you are going to be in Parliament?
No, I am not. Once I come into politics, no, let me explain. I came to politics because President Mahinda Rajapaksa and President Gotabaya Rajapaksa wanted me to contest from Gampa at that time. In fact, the very words of President Mahinda Rajapaksa was, even if you don't win, doesn't matter, we want some good names in the list. But I won. Then, once you become a politician, you have a responsibility for the people who voted for. And because I couldn't fulfill that promise because our government collapsed, I decided to stand by my policies. And when the government went and the government which you are part of went and selected a person whom we always opposed, I stood by my principles and became an independent MP.
When you look at what transpired over the last few months, I recollect when the country did not have money, you mentioned that you wanted a vehicle. It was on the media as well, saying that ministers have to be given proper vehicles because they have to be traveling easy, and here we are. People were suffering a lot.
Very good that you asked that question. In fact, your own channel publicized something like that. You go back and check that clip if you have played it again. I was not talking about myself. I was talking about an MP who was coming from Ampara by bus. I said, people think these MPs are getting government vehicles. They are not. And I said, I know even there's an MP who's coming from Ampara by bus to Parliament, and these people must be looked after. And that was misinterpreted as I was asking for something. I had no reason to.
Because in some countries, Dr. Godeva, even prime ministers come by buses.
Yeah, but this. No, look at even today. I was referring to an MP, a professional, a doctor who left his profession and joined politics. And then the fellow didn't have money to travel by a vehicle. So even today, I think, he's coming by bus to Parliament. So I was referring to him, right? I was referring to him not to get him a vehicle. I was saying a lot of people have a perception that all MPs are getting government vehicles, which is not true.
Right. Thank you very much, Dr. Nala Godeva, Member of Parliament. President's Council, Maitri Gunratna, former Governor of the Central Province. Maitri, interestingly, when we speak about all our panelists today, I can easily put them to a political party and say they are supporting this candidate or they are trying to support this candidate. It's very easy when you look at the panelists that we have today. But you are a perplexed character, Maitri. Now, several weeks ago, you were supporting the online safety bill that was tabled by the government. But a few years ago, that Maitri Gunratna, I can't see him anymore because you were criticizing Ranil Wickremesinghe, you were criticizing his policies, you said that he is not the best way to move forward, you were a member of the UNP as well, you were a member of the UNP working committee, you were ousted, no, you were not a member, but you were ousted from the political party, there was disciplinary action against you and Shira Laktilaka. I can remember this history very well. Now, who are you really supporting, Maitri?
Rasul, I am supporting a cause or a system where we can get away from all the main political parties and form a like-minded alliance. We have given it a name, a consortium of like-minded people. Because today,
consortium of like-minded people, who's heading that party?
It's not a party, it's a platform.
It's an alliance.
It's a platform.
Like a Viatmaga alliance?
No.
Like the NPP?
No, it's a platform. it's a platform which we are trying to take it into a political movement in the near future.
No, but Maitri, I really can't understand. You know why? Because in 2015, you supported Maithripala Sirisena's candidature.
Definitely.
Several years after, you became the governor of the central province.
Yes.
2019, you were supporting SJB.
Yes.
And you were supporting the candidate of Sajid Premadasa. Now, who are you supporting? That's what I'm asking. Very simple question.
No, we are not supporting anyone at the moment.
Okay.
We are trying to get this like-minded forum. We are trying to get momentum with this like-minded forum, because if you take the vote base, there is about a 30-40% voters who have still not decided whether they are going to vote or whether they are going to vote for any of the present political parties. So if there is no option offered to them, what can happen is they may not vote. They may not vote. And if they do not vote, what is going to happen is this same lot is going to be re-elected again. Because the main political parties you can see already the various crossing overs are taking place. So it is the same wine in different bottles. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to give new wine in new bottles.
So it's going to be a completely new person who's going to coming into the fray.
It's a bit of a Herculean task, but it is better tried right now, because this is the most opportune time, because none of the elections before this had such a large percentage of people undecided.
Tell me a few people that you all are thinking who will be the next leader of the country and you all are supporting, because you must be having someone in mind, no, Maitri, obviously.
No, we are at the moment
still fishing.
No, we are discussing with various. Now, why we say like-minded people is there are various small groups.
No, because Shiral Lakhtar came on the show, your good friend, in 2011, 2000. I don't know whether you all talk to each other now, but
no, definitely.
You all talk,
There is no permanent friends, no permanent enemies.
Sarath said in 2010 at the first press conference that he convened when he announced his candidature. Same thing. There are no friends and enemies. Yes. Anyway, so Maitri, now he said that they are supporting someone in the caliber of partly Champika Ranawaka.
Yes.
And he said that there may be an alliance that would be formed. Are you in that alliance?
No. There is clearly no. What I'm saying is, Rasul, there are so many small groups operating all over who wants to make this change.
Not Janagarat Nayaka, no?
No, certainly not Janagarat Nayaka, whom you lambasted last time. But I think he reconsidered now contesting the election after he came for the show. So anyway, what I'm saying is, Rasul, there are so many small groups, so many people who are talking that we need a change. We need to move from this present system. We need a system change. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to address it. And the biggest issue we are having is people who are talking about a system change, people who say that this has to change, people who say that these corrupt politicians must go, they do not want to come into politics. So when you talk to them and you say, okay, right, shall we work on a political movement? All of them want to shy away. They shy away from a political movement. They want to give ideas. They want to go to a pub and or a club and drink or have a beer and talk about how the country should be run. But none of them want to come into the political fray. Now, Dr. Godaheva, now he said that he was forced to come in and he was not willing. What I'm saying is you need people like that to come into this system to change the system.
So you're saying the alternatives like Ranil Wickremesinghe, Sajid Premadasa, Andrew Kumar Disanayaka are not the option for the country moving forward?
Not the option. Certainly not the option.
Thank you very much, Maitri Gunnar, the former governor of the Central Province. Chaturanga Abhisinghe, National Executive Committee member of the NPP. Chaturanga, Maitri is of the view that Sajid Premadasa, Ranil Wickremesinghe and Andrew Kumar Disanayaka are not the options for the country, and he thinks there needs to be someone completely new who can steer the country towards great or greener pastures.
So this conversation is not new. Every presidential election you get this, and there will be about 4 or 5 people who just talk about it, because for you to become the president of this country or take power, there needs to be a organization, there needs to be a structure, there needs to be policies, and there needs to be sheer work on the ground for anyone to win, right? So obviously these are just talks that, you know, somebody will come out of thin air and, you know, become the president, and not the three candidates who are there. I mean, it's very evident it has to be either of these three for the next election. There won't be anybody new that can emerge as a hero, because nothing has happened on the ground. That's the first term. And also, if you listen to all the discussions, Senthil, I'm sorry that you talked about the old politics of this country, where when there's state and there's politics, where the politicians has to do work for people, and where we are not fixing the issues of the state mechanism, right? So because the hospital has to run, the education has to run, and you don't need a politician to come and fix these things, because not only in your community but everywhere there is deprived, people are deprived of basic needs, people are deprived of education, health, and all these things, even simplest transportation. So we need to fix these things. We don't need politicians to interfere and, you know, fix these things. That's the first thing. And also, if you so this old political culture, as you correctly said, people have rejected, and therefore NPP has been building this platform for people, like-minded people, and who wanted a change to come and join. I think it has worked. So that is why we are very confident that there is option for people. So when you say old politics, people can now categorically identify what old politics means. I mean, you can imagine Sajith Premadasa's cabinet. You can imagine Ranil Wickremesinghe's cabinet. I can name some of them, and they are the old people. I mean, old politicians.
How can you name them? We don't even know who's going to.
So who's
be fielded?
No, because if you look at the politics, what's going to happen?
But they are saying that about the NPP, or they are saying Handunati is going to become the Minister of Finance.
No, I mean the things that you can obviously know is you have a cabinet now.
You can see yourself as well.
Well, let's see how it works. But what I'm trying to say is the people of this country can understand the nature of the politicians around Ranil Wickremesinghe or Sajith Premadasa, right? And their caliber. Like if you take Sajith, you have the Rajit Senaratne, and then you have Kiriyalla, then you have Harsha, Iran. I mean, you can imagine what it's going to look like. And if you take UNP now, there's no UMP parliamentarians, but then again the breakaway fractions of the SLPP is there, who's doing some work for Anil and who's very much supported. But they're the same lot. I mean, Nimal Siripal Silva has been cabinet minister since 1994, right? So people can imagine this next, whoever becomes the president, whether it's Sajith or Ranil, it will be the same political culture that will be.
So Chaturanga, we've seen a lot of traction for the JVP over the years. We saw them gaining some momentum now also. I don't know in terms of percentages where you all stand, because I don't have that information, but you all are gaining some traction. That's what the people on the ground are saying. If you do an opinion poll, or if you do a research, it shows that you all are more than the 3% that you all were at the last general election, that's for sure. We saw similar sentiments amongst the people in the 80s when Rohan Vijay and J.R. Jayawardena were contesting the election. There were a lot of people who were coming into the polling, to the forums that was organized by the JP at that time. And look at what happened.
I think
a resounding victory at the elections.
No, I think.
Don't you think it's the same sentiment that is coming across?
No, it is not. So JVP before 2015 and how after NPP is built is two different mindsets. So since NPP was built, it was more of a wider alliance to gain political power in the parliament, and it was designed in such a way that we could attract people and, you know, take the subsections of the society and build this organization. So what you see now is nothing that you have seen. You can compare to what JVP had earlier in 80s or even in the 2019, right? Now we have penetrated all sectors of the society in a very scientific way. We have put people in place, we have organized. Now we have 7,500 ground units.
Chaturanga, don't tell me the scientific name, because in 2015 when Maithripala Sirisena said that his cabinet is going to be a scientific cabinet, you know what happened?
Yeah, I mean,
Minister of Education and
so
Minister
if
of
you
Finance
don't want me to use the word science, good governance, I will not use from here onwards, because if you try to
we are fed up of those words.
that's what can we do about it? We are new in politics.
But you're also citizen of this country.
Yes.
Aren't you fed up of these words?
No, because the thing is, it has always been misused by a same set of people. That is why we created NPP.
These are good words, these are buzzwords. You know, now today people are talking about AI. People don't even know what AI is.
Yeah, so so let me finish on this. And what NPP has is by design, and it's not only in Sri Lanka, even across out of Sri Lanka as well. So what we are seeing is not just liking for NPP or Andhra Kumar Dissanayake. This is the gathering of the 3 million people and more who fought for Aragale, who wanted a system change, who wanted the corruption to end.
3 million people, what's that?
I mean, more than 3 million people supported Daragale across the country, right? There's enough statistics to figure that out, not from the people on the ground, but people on Facebook.
Say all the people who were at Aragale is going to support the NPP?
Most of the people, right? And
how much as a percentage?
What do you mean?
If you say 3 million, in a percentage, how much?
I think majority.
How much? 50%?
Sorry?
50%?
More than 50% for sure.
How much? Tell me, sir.
No, I don't have a statistic.
So you said though you have the statistics. No, I'm asking you. Let's say around 3 million people, let's say how much? 70%?
So 3 million people is an estimate that who actively supported Daragale,
right? Okay,
right?
so let's say 3 million people.
Yeah.
So how much of support will the NPP have from these 3 million people?
I think more than 2 million there will be.
So let's say 2 million will you, if you take it as a percentage at a future election, how much is the 2 million going to be?
So 2 million.
There are 12 million eligible voters in the country.
Yeah.
Come this election, if you all are going to get 2 million votes out of the 12 million public eligible voters, will that be enough for you all to form a government?
No, that will not form enough. So what I'm saying is
that shows my point. You know,
no, it is not your point.
Supporting,
because you are talking about 300,000 that was voted for us in previous elections.
No, but you said now 2 million. That's
now
what
I'm saying is from the active citizens who became part of the Aragale.
So those are the active citizens who support the NPP. Overall,
so they are the people. There will be obviously more than that, and we have
to be at least 5 million votes up.
What I am trying to say is the majority of the people who voted for SLPP, right, now have realized there is no hope on that, and also based on the policies that we have presented and the governance structure that we are bringing, most of them are working with us, right?
We'll talk about
and what I'm trying to say is, whatever the change that was discussed has been represented, a platform has been created, and people are rallying around us. This is way different to what Vijay Veera had and what JVP had earlier.
Thank you very much, Chaturanga Abhisingh, National Executive Committee member of the NPP. But very quickly, Chaturanga, 2 million votes are not going to be enough.
Of course.
To win a presidential or
so I'm not saying 2 million enough. Right. I'm saying 2 million active citizens are now rooting for NPP and working every day and night for NPP.
Right. Thank you very much, Chaturanga. So I want to move to Attorney at Law Tivanka Artikala, Chief Organizer for Kalawana from the SJB. But just very quickly, Tivanka, Sendil, I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to Dr. Gudeheva as well as Chaturanga after this round is over. So you can talk about or counter those thoughts at that time. Tivanka, is there a split within the SJP?
No.
No split at all?
There is no split at all.
So is...
that room has been there for a very long time.
No, this is not a room, Amsa.
Right, okay.
I will ask you.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Yeah,
is there a split?
No.
No, there is no split. Okay, right. Has Mano Ganeshan and Rauf Hakim trying to broker a deal with Ranil Wickremesinghe?
No.
100% sure?
Yeah.
So the Sunday papers are wrong?
So I met him.
Who?
Mano Ganeshan.
Okay.
So he came into my electorate, we had a chat, there are no such thing.
They have not tried to broker a deal?
No.
Sunday papers are wrong?
Probably, yeah.
Right. Sarath Fonseca is still in the party?
He's there in the party, did you see? Last time he said he's always with the party and he's there, he'll support the party and he'll be there.
Then why did he go to courts?
So he went to courts, we haven't done anything against him.
So is that also a rumour?
No, so he did go to courts. to keep his post. So we have not taken action. So an interim injunction was given. So it just stands.
So he's in the party.
He's in the party.
He won't split and go and join Ranil Wickremesinghe.
That's in the future. That I don't know. Whether he will or he will not, that I'm not sure. But as for now,
Raj
he's there.
Semath is still in the party.
He's still there.
He's not going to cross over as well.
So those I don't know personally what they'll do.
No, but today, Tivanka, I think this is your first time on. Is it the first time on?
No, it's not the first time.
All right, okay, so very good. So you know how things work out in a political talk show. So Tivanka, is he still there?
Yeah, so they are all still there. That's what I'm saying. As for now, except for Harin and Manusha, rest are still there. And as you said, yes, Mr. Fonseca had gone to court.
Diana Gamge also crossed over.
She crossed, so those people crossed over, yes.
Okay.
Openly, they crossed over. Rest of them are still there.
Fauzi?
So that's what I'm saying.
You're only mentioning two names. That's what
No,
I'm
so
saying.
they crossed over. The rest of the people you say, they are still there. So when we go for meetings and all, they come for the
Fauzi still
talk.
comes, huh?
Not Fauzi. He
then?
crossed over, no. But
Diana Gamge also comes.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Same
I
thing.
know what you're trying to get at.
No,
The thing is-
I don't. I'm just asking you.
So those people did
We have
cross
to put
over.
an end to these rumors now.
Correct. So those people crossed over. The rest of the names you say, in the future, I don't know what will happen. People come to this side. Exactly.
At this moment, they are there. Right,
So
okay.
who knows?
Right.
So we have people coming in also.
Right. Tivanka, so welcome to the show.
Right.
We're seeing you for the first time on Face the Nation. Tell us about families being in politics. Because you must be able to answer that question quite
Yes.
well, because your father is a politician, your
Yes.
grandfather
Yes.
is a politician, your great-grandfather was also a
Yeah,
politician.
he was there.
So people are now saying that they detest people who come with
Correct.
such backgrounds, and they want to get them out of the way.
True.
And they want brand new people in politics.
True.
You are the chief organizer of Kalawana from the SJB. You may contest a future election. What do you have to say to the people who look at families, dynasties ruling Sri Lankan political culture?
That's a good question. Because to be honest, when you take about dynasties, it's how those people have been there before. So to be honest, keep my name out. There have been certain people who've been coming from their parents, whatever, mother, father, they come down. But what we ask from the people, what I ask from the people is, don't vote for my father or my grandfather. No, you're voting for me. So look what my family has done. If you have done anything wrong, we've been corrupt or in that
So
sort.
your family involves your father as well. Your
Yes,
family
exactly.
involves your
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
grandfather as well. Your family involves your great-grandfather as well.
Exactly. So look what they have done.
So if they look at you, that's a different story.
Correct.
Your family is another story.
Correct. So that's what I'm saying. We have to look at the family as well as the person. Because when we take families, we know what the main family had done. No? The
Who?
biggest family, the Rajapaksa family. What they've done. So that is what caused everything. I'm not saying, so just because a family did such a thing, doesn't mean everybody who comes from a political family is going to do something bad.
Rasul, in fairness to the articlers in Ratnapura, they are a very respectable family.
No, but
I must say that.
no, Maitra, I agree, but we on this show.
They are very respectable people in Ratnapura.
Good that
They have not made made money with politics.
No, but
that must say.
to ask to
Yeah.
you know,
No issues.
people who are watching the show don't know
Yeah,
whether the articles are good or bad.
No, but
You know it, but you're not the only one who's going to elect him to parliament.
No.
If
I
there
don't
has
have
to
a
be
vote for him
people also
in
know.
Ratnapura, but still then what is good must be appreciated and told.
So Divanga, tell me, come an election,
Yes.
what would be the election that the SJB prefers? A general election or a presidential election?
Either of the two. We don't mind either of the two.
Right. Let's
It
say it's
can
going to
even be
a-
the other two also.
Right. Let's say there is going to be a general election first.
Yes.
Who's going to be the prime ministerial candidate of the SJB?
To be honest, we have not decided that yet. So we work on the presidential election, but if a general election comes, we'll quickly sit down on it and we'll nominate a prime minister.
Overnight.
Yeah, that could be done.
So you all don't think that the prime ministerial candidate should be announced now at this point of time?
You have to be honest, this year, technically,
Because you all have, because you know why I'm asking this
Yes.
question, Tivanka? Because you all have always jumped the gun. Look at your history, will you? You all appointed Diana Gamage as the nationalist parliamentarian. Few months down the line, she crossed over. You all appointed H.M. Fauzi from the nationalist. A few times down the line, he crossed over. Then Mujibur Rahman, before the local government election was announced and gazetted, he stepped down. He lost his seat. As a result of that, Fauzi came and he crossed over as well.
Harin Fernando.
Harin Fernando.
So exactly,
Thank you very much,
exactly why we are not telling a name at this point, because we don't want to jump the gun.
Hard lesson, huh?
Exactly.
Right. So, what is the policy of the SJB when it comes to a presidential election? How much votes do you think that you will gain? Now, the NPP has a statistic in mind. What is the statistic?
So we start from a base of 5.5, and we are
5.5. So, right. So, don't just give a statistic. Tell us how this 5.5 million is coming into play.
So that's because it's the same candidate from the last election who came in second. So, and now since we are running and doing our groundwork, we've seen there's a shift in the people. So it's obviously an addition to that. So we start up from 5.5 and we just go up from there. And to be honest, the 6.9 is not there anymore. So those voters will obviously break into the other fractions to us, to NPP. So they'll go, and we see when we go in our electorates and around the district that those people are hugely.
How much of votes, how much of seats does the SJB think that they will be able to get?
We are hoping, when on what we've seen when Mr. Premadasa goes around and how the people react to it and the numbers we see in our rallies, we think we can get a good majority.
How much?
The number of seats, maybe not 2/3, but close to it, yes.
112, 130?
Obviously.
Close to 2/3.
2/3, close to 2/3, no? Right. Thank you very much.
Not close to 2/3, but close to that.
So, before I open the floor, Niresh and Shihar, I want to give an opportunity to Sendhil
Sure.
if he wants to respond to Dr. Gudeheva as well as
Yeah,
Chaturanga.
I'll just make it quick.
Yeah.
So Dr. Nalaka Goeda said that His Excellency the President is responsible from 2015 because of his activities is the reason for the crisis. Maybe I'm not a very good economist to do those calculations. Then when you take that, then you'll have to keep on going. Before that, President Mahinda Rajapaksa was there. Before that, President Chandrika was there. Before that, JR was there. Then when you go on economics like that, that never ends. The sudden crisis which cropped up was after the COVID and the decisions taken by the President from Gotabaya Rajapaksa. So out of the 100% thing, maybe 80 to 90% falls on the former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. So that's where I feel that is the main mistake has happened. And second is, people talk about system change. When we offered our support to Gotabaya Rajapaksa, that was told to us, he's not a politician, he's going to give a system change and he's going to bring the country out of this, and he has a vision. So that's what we were also under the impression. But sometimes, people without experience coming into politics will sometimes even collapse the system. Not only bring the system change in a positive way, might even take it in a negative way. That's a good example where we have gone through, and that's one. And second, to my friend on the MPP side, I would like to say, he said that every community, yes, they are being deprived. I totally agree on that. But in my story, my entire community itself was deprived. In every community, there's a portion of people deprived. But in my community of the plantation community, my entire community was deprived. And we were deprived for 30 years, not just one day, 2 days. Just imagine 30 years deprived. So then, when all the other communities are far ahead of us, we are still lacking back. And that 30 years to catch up, yes, we are working. And just being in the opposition, we cannot fulfill we can raise voices, but we cannot fully, even being in the government, it's very difficult to fulfill all the commitments which our community expects. But we are managing. I still say that we have a lot to do. But I strongly believe seated in opposition, we will not be able to deliver. So we believe that only when we are in the government, at least if there is 100 issues which they are facing, at least we can do a break even of 50 issues, at least we can try to support them. Hospital is just an example I said for easy understanding. People who are watching in Colombo, who are living in an apartments, who are having a Benz car and all that, might not understand what I'm trying to say. But the people who are in the rural sides, in the tea plantation, within the tea estates, who are not even able to pay the current bill at times, who are not having a permanent job, if they go to work, though they get the salary on the month end, though they go to work only they get the pay. If they are not well for 15 days, then they don't get a 15-day pay. It's not like a government job where they go to work, they put a no pay leave or no pay leave, whatever, and all
but
that.
This government will increase the electricity tariff by 500% and then reduce it by 22%. No.
You must understand one thing. We have to calculate according to our cost of production. I strongly believe in that. Now we have to shift from this thermal energy.
We are saying, Sendil, everyone will have to own a Benz car to pay the electricity bill in the country now.
No, everyone doesn't everyone doesn't have to own a Benz car. Everyone, if everyone owns a solar panel for their house, I don't think they'll have
how
a
much
problem.
is solar panels, Sendil?
No, we have now the line of credits which have been given around $100 million to start with.
Yeah.
The solar panel which His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe has negotiated and got it down. And I think we are in the verge of signing agreement. So this $100 million, yes, the schools, the temples, cultural places, we are starting with that. And also, orphanages and all that we are going to give the solar panel. So we have to start somewhere. I'm not disagreeing to what you say. I know it's very difficult for people to survive, but we have to go through this phase. This is the conditions of the IMF to make sure that none of the government agencies can do things on subsidy. So that means if the cost of production is going to be 100 rupees, I'm just telling an example. Earlier under subsidy the government was giving for 25, 30, 35, 40 and all that, but now it can't be done. The IMF conditions clearly says no subsidies. So that means we are forced to charge that. It's not the president's intention to charge it, but President is very confident that when I had a recent chat with him, I asked that how long, sir, this is going to go. He said, I am very confident before the end of the year, he will almost make sure that almost Sri Lanka is more than half back to normal. So his target is around 2 to 3 years where we'll be going back to how earlier we were.
But we don't know whether he's going to stay after the presidential election. So wait and see.
I said his target.
Yeah.
That's precisely the point.
What is it, Mike?
No.
So
whether he will be able to withstand the
so it's May,
election.
I think let the people decide.
No, like what my friend, and he was the governor when I was the minister there. It may or may not know. So I look on a positive note of May. He will continue as a
all
president.
also friends.
Yeah, of course.
Otherwise,
He both have worked
what
together.
Andrew Ramanaga said was right.
Right. I want to start with Dr. Godaheva. Now, the upcoming election, whether it's presidential or parliamentary, it's going to be a kind of an unprecedented one because the issues are different. We are coming out of a financial crisis, and then we are tied up with these IMF policies, right, where no party can reverse, right, that kind of a complex situation. Now, what will be the impact, whether it's a presidential or parliamentary, how will it have an impact on those issues?
First of all, we must understand the current president as well as the parliament do not have the people's mandate anymore, right? Because this parliament was rejected at the Aragale, and then they went and did a even worse thing by appointing a person who was totally rejected by the people and rejected by not only by SAPP but also by the former UMP supporters, and made him the president. And only 114 votes made him the president. So that's not people's mandate. So president doesn't have a mandate, parliament doesn't have a mandate. So if you want to get out this crisis, people say we have done a lot of things, we have followed what IMF said, some stability has come in, let's grant it, right? But that's not good enough. Now we have to get into the growth phase as fast as possible, because the growth is not coming. Exports are not growing, economy is shrinking. So to do that, you have to get the support of the entire population, the community, everybody. To do that, you need a government which has people's mandate. So in that sense, I would say you have to change both the president and the parliament. It could be the same president or same people getting elected, but you have to get the mandate once again.
A fresh mandate.
A fresh mandate. So I'm not saying this person should get the mandate or not, that's people's choice. But a fresh mandate is required for both president and the parliament. And then out of those two, according to the constitution, we all know it's a presidential election which is due, for which money has been allocated. And I think that election has to be held first before anything else. Then the parliament election can follow immediately. And then the fresh team, president and the parliament, as I mentioned earlier, could be the same team. I don't know. I believe it will be a different team. Can continue from there.
But what does that mean for current issues people faced with, like tax burden, cost of living?
Yes. Look at what the current government is doing. Why I always opposed President Ranil Premadasa before President he was Prime Minister is he comes with so many flowery stories. But when it comes to grassroots level implementation, those things never get implemented. Between 2015-2019 period, he presented 10 different economic policies. 5 years, 10 different economic policies. He's continuing the same pattern. How many parliamentary the crown speeches he has given so far? Compare one to another and see how many differences are there. If you listen to those stories, very nice. Very nice. There's nothing wrong in that. But these things are not getting implemented. Take a simple example. Now, we know the SME sector of this country. 52% of contribution to the economy. Hard hit because of the high interest rates that were maintained 2023 periods. More than 250 businesses are closed. More than 1 million people are jobless. And more than 1,400 companies are sold on parate. So we were talking about correcting this now for almost 1 year. And the government also agreed. Everybody agrees. We had a debate in the parliament, both sides agreed. But today they can't implement that. They can't even get the gazette out. Right? So that's what I'm saying, the crucial issues. When it comes to implementation, this government fails. This is the problem with President Ranil Wickremesinghe. Not that he doesn't have a vision, not that he has an idea as to what to do. I may not agree with his policies, but he has certain policies. But when it comes to implementation, none of those things are getting.
But don't you think, Dr. Godeheva, you are also responsible for the situation right now? Sindhu spoke about not even 1% Ranil Wickremesinghe is involved, but I feel that you are directly responsible because in 2016, if I'm not mistaken, that was the birth of the Vietmaga movement. And you championed that cause somewhat.
Of course.
And as a result of that, we saw 2019, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa coming into power. And he appointed majority of his members from the Vietmaga movement. You got a cabinet portfolio. Sarat Veerasekara got a cabinet portfolio. Chana Jayasumana got a cabinet portfolio. All of these individuals were from the Vietmaga movement. Look at what happened. I am telling you directly, you are responsible for what we are facing today.
I'm telling you directly, you're totally wrong. Because Gotabaya Rajapaksa's first cabinet, none of us, the names that you mentioned, were there. It was all old hands. In fact, I was told 2 days before the general election, when Gotabaya Rajapaksa knew very well, I was doing well in the Gampaha district, he phoned me. He phoned me and asked, how am I faring? I said, what do you hear? He said, I hear you are going to be either number 1 or number 2. Then he said, I called you to tell you something, that
what did you
if you win, I will not be able to appoint you to the cabinet. He told me 2 days before.
Very encouraging.
Very encouraging. Just 2 days before the election. Right? Reason. He told the reason also. He said there are so many seniors in the party. Basil and Mahinda wants them to be given cabinet portfolio. That is what happened. So you are totally wrong. He never gave the position to Vietmaga people. Read his book. I don't know how many of people have read. Right? My name is never mentioned. My name is mentioned in only one place, where Nalaka Godeheva wanted me to resign. So I was not part of his cabinet, and that is exactly.
You were never part of his cabinet?
I was appointed his cabinet in April 2022, and I resigned the following day. When he changed the cabinet, he wanted the seniors to be out. When he realized things are not going wrong, that is the time that he brought myself, Chana Jayasuman, and few new people. Too late, because now he mentioned about these numbers, right? By 2019, our ratings were down. We were on the verge of economic crisis, right? And we knew that. We were talking about that. But the 2 years, the people who advised him on economy, the names are now very well known. His own private secretary came and told who was advising him and guiding him on economy. And these people never took action. So in a way you are right, because that government also very much responsible for not preventing the crisis. But what I said earlier was the crisis was started by Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Let's talk about cabinets here. Because one thing is, when we have a general election, we may even know which party is probably going to win. But we almost never know who's going to be in the cabinet except through seniority. We never know which portfolios each minister will hold. And in fact, the portfolios themselves are renamed, and you get some very strange cabinet ministries cropping up, with subjects which are not related at all. Now, there's so much uncertainty, and it's a lot of cronism which happens. Ministers who have no knowledge of a particular subject are given reign over that particular subject, and you end up with disaster in many areas. So shouldn't this be changed, this system changed? Shouldn't it be changed where the major political parties should declare their cabinets, their would-be cabinets, well in advance, so that voters will know this person will be the Minister of Agriculture, this person will be the Minister of Health, not someone who knows nothing of the subject. And I would ask both these gentlemen here, Tivanka and Chaturanga, what do you think of that, for declaring well ahead?
I think that's a great
So
idea.
we've already done that. Like Mr. Godeva said, even when we take Minister of Finance, so we've named people and we get them to work. We are already building our policies. We put them out. We had discussions on policies. Questions are raised. Answers are given. So we agree with what you say. So that's what we've already implemented that, and we are pushing it forward. So
But how many such
so not for
portfolios?
every portfolio, but for something at this moment, I think naming the Minister of Finance is quite important, because the economic crisis is what we have to come out first. Once we have political stability, we should go into the economic crisis and begin it out.
That's not just the onus of the Minister of Finance.
Correct. So that's why
you need fisheries, agriculture, health, education, all those.
Correct.
And also defense, which has the largest budget right now. How is that going to be trimmed? All those ministries are very, very vital. So if you assume 20 cabinet ministries, shouldn't your party be naming the 20 right now?
So it's like this, we build our own teams. So for finance, we have Mr. De Silva, Mr. Kabir and Mr. Vikramaratne. So like then from Ratnapurva James, we have a MP from there. Then also for the youth, we have another MP like that. So we've appointed MPs for certain positions. They are running their own teams. They are bringing in their own teams, their crowds. So more or less, if they get elected, once they come in, they'll probably be given those portfolios.
But that's not for certain. It's a more or less. And then once an election is over, things tend to change, because the power of the voter is no longer there. He's voted, he or she has already voted.
Correct.
So then what happens is within the political party, and of course alliances. So it would be nice to know, have something set in stone. These are the ministries and the ministers.
That would be quite ideal.
Yeah.
But then again, not knowing what election would come, that is also another quite a problem.
Yeah, Chaturanga, I want to ask you on the elections now. JVP was at their peak until I think last month, because the only party it was campaigning election on the election
You
platform.
mean NPP? Yeah.
NPP, right? NPP was campaigning for the last 18 months. And it was kind of a peak because nobody was campaigning. Nobody had even thought of start campaigning. Now everybody is coming to the fray, right?
Yeah.
And now everybody is also attacking NPP,
Yeah.
right? And everybody, they don't fight among themselves, but everybody is focusing on
Singled out.
NPP. Okay. So what does that mean if a presidential election or parliament election, being held first? There's a huge difference for NPP rather than any other party.
Yeah.
How concerned are you on
So
that?
basically, our campaign is all set for the presidential election. So we've been working for the last 2.5 years on that. But our campaign in terms of the structure and how it's going is designed up to September. And it's not going to change whether it's going to be a parliamentary or a presidential election. It's just that if at all a parliamentary election is called on, our activities on the districts by also nominating the people who would contest, that's the only thing that's going to change for us, because our structures are designed, they're working pretty fine, and we are growing that as we speak, and the media campaign and the media structures are in place. So we are pretty much ready for the fight. And what we just see now is that, as you correctly said, and all this discussion is that for the first time in the Sri Lankan history, power is going to transfer from one class to citizens, right? So the who has been ruling this country by just having two different parties is the same people and the same businessmen who has kind of ruled this. And for the first time, it's going to change to the hands of citizens. That is why this whole chaos that people are seeing. Otherwise, it was a smooth transition from, UMP to SLFP, SLFP to UNP. So that is what the history has looked like. So now, for us, it won't be a change in the campaign, right? But when it comes to the two elections, we think there will be a intense fight if it's a general election. And if it's a presidential election, it would
Who's going to be your Prime Minister candidate?
We have not decided yet.
But last week, Harsha Nanakara came on the show and said Dr. Harini Amritsori is the Prime Minister candidate.
That's something that we are discussing, and it's not officially announced.
So he seemed quite certain about it.
He was. He said that Vijay Herath had told the executive committee members of the party that Harini Amritsori is going to...
Well, Harini is running the largest campaign at this point in terms of the women's campaign. So there is from socially, and also there's expectation like that. But we have not decided.
All right. So I just want to very quickly, Mr. Dr. Godheva, you said that you all didn't get any portfolios, but if I may read this 2020 list, Sarath Pirasekara was sworn in as the State Minister of Provincial and Local Government Affairs. Dr. Nala Godheva was appointed as the State Minister of Urban Development, Coast Conservation, Water Disposal and Public Hygiene. Channa Jayasuman was sworn in as the State Minister of Drug Manufacturing, Supply and Regulation. Engineer Nalaka Bandara Kotteguru and Dr. Upul Kalapathy were appointed as District Coordinating Committee Chairpersons for Mathale and Hamadru districts respectively.
None of those are cabinet positions.
Yeah, but positions in the
government. All of us have positions, no? This country...
I don't have a position in the government.
No. What I'm saying, everybody has a position. Yeah. But that position doesn't mean you're running the country. Who runs the country? The country's executive body is the president, the cabinet. State ministers are not part of the cabinet. State minister can't even submit a cabinet paper. We have to go through the cabinet minister. And in my case particularly, it was worse because I didn't even have a secretary of my own. I had to go to my cabinet minister secretary even to get a small thing passed.
So judging by that, we probably should do away with state ministers.
I was scared for a second. Did I have a cabinet portfolio or a government position? Tivaka, very quickly, just give me a share.
Actually, state minister, let me add one thing. My personal opinion, state minister position is not required. If I have the freedom to appoint a cabinet, I would say cabinet ministers, roughly about 25 in my estimate. It's not 20, it's not possible, but 25, and deputy ministers. Because when the cabinet is not available, there has to be somebody to deputize. That's what you need.
Tivanga, now, Dallas Salahaperuma was the presidential nominee of the SJB when the Aragalaya took place. There were names that were announced and so on and so forth. Dallas Salahaperuma is the Prime Minister candidate, no? No?
Who told you? I also want to know.
But you said you want to put an end to all these rumors, no? So you can answer now.
No, so that's what I said before. We've not decided yet.
So not Dallas Salahaperuma?
Not Dallas Salahaperuma.
Are you sure, Dr. Godheva?
Sorry,
Dallas Salahaperuma is the Prime Minister candidate of the
a future government?
No, of the SJB or future government?
No, he has not joined the SJB alliance at the moment.
So then where are you all standing?
I am an independent MP. I have decided to join this.
You go for SJB meetings and all that as an independent.
As an independent MP.
Are you on the fence?
No, I'm not on the fence. I've told the 2nd of January at a press conference. I told I would be supporting Mr. Sajid Premadasa at the presidential election.
So those who supported the candidature of Dallas Salahaperuma, likes of GL Pires, yourself, Dilan Pereira, so all of them, where do they stand?
Some of those people have openly declared. I myself have declared. Professor GL Pires has declared. Mr. Dilan Pereira has declared. Probably about three others have declared. Others have not told yet whom they are going to support. They have not mentioned anybody else either.
So you all have not come into an agreement or a consensus about
We will
who
be
is going
coming
to
to an agreement in time to come.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Maitri, you are still on the fence, no?
No, I'm not on the fence.
Creating an
You
alliance.
think I'm on the fence.
Whose fence?
You think I'm on the fence.
No, I don't know. You seem like you're on the fence.
Rasul, the subject of this discussion was, is it going to be a parliamentary or a presidential election? Okay. So I would like to,
So let me ask.
Yeah.
Let me ask.
No, wait. I want to just give me a second. I want to know that. No, please.
okay. So if I was the president of this country,
If I was hypothetically.
right? But would I under these conditions, I see that if President Ranil Wickremesinghe goes in for a presidential election right now, it is going to be extremely difficult for him to make it as president.
Against whom?
Against all,
Oh.
right? Because now if he's going to contest, a presidential election, the UNP organization is in tatters. So he will have to get various groups together to muster his support if he wants to win the presidential election. So therefore, I would say it is a extremely vulnerable election for him. He is the president. Anyone wants to be re-elected as president. But the best option for him is to go in for a parliamentary election. If he goes in for a parliamentary election, he puts all the parties into
the test.
And then all these parties who have thought they have got 113, 114 or just below 2/3, all that will be shown at the end of a parliamentary election. Then thereafter the ground has been tested now.
Yep.
Ground has been tested. Parties will get, I don't think any party is going to get 113. No party is going to get 113. Maximum a party is going to get is 70.
And who is that party?
That I don't know. That I don't know. All those are open.
Okay, you can tell.
Right?
Chaturanga is confident that you will say NP.
Right?
Maitri, you sound like one of those astrologers. What's in the news?
Crystal ball in front of you.
Right? Your predictor. So what I'm saying is, then him being the president, all of these political parties who have got these numbers have to go to form a government. Then, as the president, he decides who is going to be the prime minister. So then, he will be able to appoint the prime minister. He will be able to appoint a new cabinet of, we'll say, 25 members, and deputy ministers, another 25, 50. So then he has, before he goes in for a presidential election, he has a cabinet newly appointed with a new mandate of 25 cabinet ministers, 25 deputy ministers who want to work with this new mandate.
But what is in it for him, for Ranil?
Why? No, all of them have to come to him
Yeah.
for either to be the prime minister or to become the president or to become a minister.
It doesn't mean they will.
But it doesn't mean they'll support him in the presidential election.
Exactly.
That
And
also
also he has only a very few months to go to the presidential
No,
election.
so the whether he is going to be appointed as the president or chosen as the president will depend on whom he puts together.
Yeah, but Maitri, we've seen this mix has not worked. Let's look at the Chandrika Bandaranaike.
The point is, Rasul, there is going to be no.
Maithripala Sirisena, Ranil Wickremesinghe government.
There is
It
going to
doesn't
be
work.
never in this country ever again is there going to be a clear majority for any party to form a clear.
So let's say hypothetically, Chaturanga, the NPP wins the election and able to form a government at a general election.
Yeah.
Ranil Wickremesinghe will be the president.
Yeah, for 3 months now.
So you all are okay with that?
Yeah, we will. I mean, he is anyway. We are not supporting him in the presidential election. So Andre will run for the presidential.
So Maitri, this is a.
And
Then who will be the prime minister candidate?
So we'll decide. So don't worry.
Maitri, just
We have enough people.
just want to ask, since you have the legal background also, is there any way you can either postpone or not have the election during
Presidential election has to be held. It is according to the constitution.
Yeah.
But Mr. Anil Wickremesinghe is trying everything in the book to see whether he can delay it.
Yes.
You know his history very well.
What he could have done is now if the economy is doing better, he could have called for the local government election, tested the waters there.
No, but only 10 billion has been allocated. No, that's only for one election.
So correct. At least have the local government election.
No, that is allocated technically for the presidential election.
No.
No, on the budget.
Yeah,
It's very clear.
Yeah, but the local government election in 2023 was an election which had to be held. That was completely filibustered. Because he didn't want to have any election. And knowing the man, I can't see him going for an election which is going to lose.
Yeah, Sendil, now, if there is a general election, which party would you all contest from? Because we've seen over the years, you all have always formed an alliance with the ruling party, and who you all think will win an election. And that has happened. I can give you a lot of examples. But who is it this time going to be? Now, all of them are saying Ranil Wickremesinghe is going to lose. So I'm pretty sure, Sendil, you won't bet on a losing horse at an election. You all always want to be in some sort of authority power because you said you want to serve the people of the country, your community in particular.
NPP has always said that they will win the elections and they are doing their best to come, but they were not able to get through any of the president election. But yes, they got through one election, the parliament election, and they worked as ministers with Chandrika's government, I remember. So they have also had powers in hand and they have done whatever they could. But it's not convincing, Some things on theoretical is very interesting, but on practical, when you are going to put, it's going to be difficult. So based on this parliament election, we all know there's only one election which will happen, and that's the president election, because there's no budget allocated for anything else.
There's only 10 billion.
Yeah, so, and I don't want to talk about a thing which is not going to happen this year. So the thing which is going to happen is only going to be presidential election. So it's very clear, and with the...
It's only SLPP wants that.
So with the allocation of the money and all that, it's going to be the president election.
But Basil Rajapaksa speaking to Vasantha Masinghe on our show a couple of weeks ago said that he prefers a parliament election first.
No. Sometimes I might also would like to prefer.
Basil Rajapaksa is not a equation now. No, he's not a.
Sometimes I would also like to prefer for a Pradesh Sabha election. But what does our provisions of finance is there? Because these elections are done with finances, from the booths payments and from the police officers' charges, fuel charges, bringing the box counting, and all this is almost coming around $1 billion.
But what happens, Sendil, if Ranil Wickremesinghe calls for general election after
supplementary budget?
Then supplementary budget, and the money is put and all that, and you can again call us for the show, then we can give a good
analysis.
Report.
But Jeevan must be knowing, no, Sendil?
That you must ask him. I can't talk on his behalf.
Right. So Chaturanga, interesting point. You all are talking theoretically, but you all have never practically done anything. How can we trust you all? Now that's the same thing happened with Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
You have trusted 70 years government, so you have failed now. So you have to trust a new team now. There's nothing else to do.
So then if that's the case, we have to trust what Maitri is saying. Maitri is saying we have to have a new set of people.
Yeah, I mean, if they have done it, if they have already put them in place, and if they have done the organization, we can consider.
But 7 years you will all be part for both years.
The NPP, the formation of the NPP, the main reason is they want to forget about what the JVP did. Now, the JVP in 89 and before that...
Interesting conversation.
Before that, there was immeasurable damage, irreparable damage done to the country.
Like
the
83,
economy.
No?
Not 83.
Wait, now, you can reply. Okay. So, I know it's very uncomfortable for you when I talk about this. So now what they are trying to say is, all these people have done damage, therefore we are the best guys in the classroom, give it to us. So are they divorcing themselves from the damage they did during 83, 71, during those 2 or 3 insurrections? There were so many tea factories which were burnt, Honorable Governor. There were so many garment factories which were burned. There were so many buses which were burned.
Transformers.
There were so many electrical transformers and various things. So what I'm saying is this.
And so many people are killed.
Killed. So are they divorcing? Isn't that damage? One is that. Isn't that a loss for the country? So killing of people in the name of revolution or whatever, is it justifiable?
We'll ask Chaturanga with you.
One small thing, he can reply also. So they were in with Chandrika.
And Andhra said sorry in Canada.
No,
I told you.
So they were.
He had to go to Canada to say sorry.
Ball was escorted out.
He must apologize first of all.
No, that
What
was-
I'm saying is,
that was
Rasul, now if you have made a mistake, you can come and say, right, I have done this. This has happened. This has happened during our tenure. We are sorry, 100%. We are sorry for this. This is not going to happen again.
Chaturanga.
Right? But now without that, they are trying to change the name. Now, UNP, Port Tour, all of them, they have contributed to the present status of the country. But what I'm saying is this: now you take the good things in the UNP. They brought the free market economy. Then they made the Mahavali. There were good things which happened. Then during Mr. Mahinda Rajapaksa's tenure, he ended the war, and the economy started growing. After that, they started robbing. That's a different issue. But still, there were good things which happened. There were good things which happened. But what I'm saying is, now, if you take the JVP, okay, there was destruction. The only good thing they did was they were a good whistleblower. At the provincial council level, at the Pradesh Sabha level, at parliamentary level, they were very good whistleblowers. That is the only duty they did very well. So,
Chaturanga.
Yes, I mean,
Age allegation.
these are the allegations that has been discussed over and over again.
But that's a fact also.
no. You can't brush it over and over again. If it's allegation,
you can bring
And
it up.
when you say 70 years, they've been there.
They also been there.
They were with Chandrika. They helped Mahinda Rajapaksa. They were hooked in with Ranil Wickremesinghe. So they were always there. And then
So
after about 1 or 2 years, they simply say, no.
So now there's a lot of
out.
allegations. So can you give me 3 minutes to answer? So number
I'll give you a few minutes to answer.
So the 71, 89 cannot be discussed in isolation, right? Especially 71 is a story that party has explained, and 89 is a story that has begun from 83. So nobody is asking responsibility of UNP, what they did in 83, and taking off few parties without any evidence and putting them off the democratic practice, and then not only JVP, some people who are now the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, who fought for against the Indo-Lanka agreement, and there was problems, right? So not only in Canada, now I think few times in the parliament also, Anura has clearly said there has been incidents which shouldn't have happened, right? But it's outcome of all the incidents that were taken place.
But has he said sorry?
I mean, basically what he said is that the party understands that there has been issues which shouldn't have happened,
Because
right?
when your party members went to India also,
Yeah.
it's a complete shift.
Yeah, so
the policies
let me explain. Right. So then, since 1994, they have been in the democratic route, like in the 80s, early 80s, and actually worked very hard to strengthen the democracy, including the 4 commissions.
So you are saying that 71, 83, 89, the JVP made a mistake.
Not a mistake. It was
still they don't accept it.
No, we don't.
Still they don't accept
Because
it. That's the problem.
Because it was outcomes of the incidents
what
that
they are
took
saying
place.
is that should have never happened. I mean, come on. If they make a mistake, you must come and have the courage to come and say we are sorry. We are sorry.
So I'm not talking on behalf of JVP here.
No, you're talking on behalf of the NPP.
Yeah.
But
90% of the NPP is the JVP.
Okay, so
90% of the NPP is the JVP.
I told what I can tell.
JP and NPP.
Okay, now let's say, so since 1994 we have been in the democratic process and strengthen the democracy as well.
All right, so I'm trying to figure it out. I'm putting it into perspective. So you're saying there were mistakes before 1994.
Not mistakes. So at the condition. So there are not only. So then.
So killing people is okay.
So what I'm trying to say.
I'm asking Chaturanga.
It was a civil war, no? It's a civil war. So two parties kill each other. So the government of UNP has killed 60,000.
Civil war.
There was no civil war.
There was no civil war.
There was no civil
So
war.
there was insurgents.
What your people did was your village level fellows went and started cutting necks and terrorizing
So now
the village.
people, now the stories were written by the government, and the real stories were not told into the public even. Now even at Daragale, people know how the government reacted.
But when we hear all these stories, we fear.
Yeah.
People
So that's
fear.
right. So you don't have to fear, because the party in 2015 made a convention. Anura was the leader. He said the future Aragale or future power change is not between guns and guns. It's between knowledge and knowledge. And the party as a JVP, we are not taking the route of uprising.
Dr. Godeva,
Weapons, right?
Dr. Godeva,
Let me finish that.
Yeah.
So then that is where, and also supporting of the other parties all this time, because there was no provision or there was no plan for JVP to come into power. Now we supported whoever the party that you could win democratic wins for the people.
So what is the difference between your party and other political parties who are always holding the hand of government just to
everything was that supported was on a public agreement, and when the public agreement was not done, they moved out.
Right. So Dr. Godeva,
Yes, I have to make two observations on this. This gentleman at the very beginning owned Aragale. Basically said almost all the people who were in Aragale were his people. When you ask for the percentages, it's a vast majority.
I said they are supportive of it.
So then you can't separate the people who went around burning the country, who went and killed people. Right? You can't say those people are not part of Aragale. They were also part of Aragale. And it is JVP, the new finance minister going to be, was trying to set fire to Parliament. We also on TV. We also saw on TV.
I think that's wrong narration.
Let me finish. Right? We saw those people in the Parliament just before Ranil Wickremesinghe got the military to chase them away. They were there when they were surrounding the Parliament. And I remember very well. I spoke about this in Parliament also. Just 2 months before Aragale, I played that video clip also. I don't have it now. NPP leader, JVP leader also, same person, mentioning that there's no need for constitutions. The new system is evolving. There's no need for constitutions in this country. So all these things have put in fuel to Aragale. Look at Aragale, what happened? My house was also burned. Right? I just came to Parliament. My house was built with my own money. Right? And that was burned down. And people who came with petrol bombs fully prepared. You think that can happen within 2 hours or 3 hours? No. They went from house
the president
to
can't figure out.
Wait. Till I finish. They went from house to house, burning down the houses of all government parliamentarians, very well prepared. So I don't know who was behind that. But when you say that Aragale people were your people or vast majority supporting, then you have to own that. That is what I want to say.
That's a nice logic. No, basically,
it's very much a logic.
So people,
It is a nice logic. Thank you.
This
Good point.
It is not a good point actually. What I said initially, you can correct it. The people who are part of Aragale are not only the people who are in Goldface. People from overseas, people from
we can't
support.
Honestly,
right?
Let's not talk about the people overseas, because they will not come to Sri Lanka and vote.
No, what I tried to say was people were asking for a change. Aragale was not to burn down houses.
No, but when Aragale didn't know, that's a fact. That's a fact.
So that's what I'm saying. You have the police.
I'm a victim.
So now you have the police, you have the CID and all that. The people who burn down houses should be caught and should be put behind bars. That's no problem. And we know as NPP and the JVP, none of our members got involved in that action. We were very clear about it, because we said, and before that, Anura came on the television and not on television, social media, and said not to be part of any of these incidents that are happening. So none of our members are there.
We saw something very same. In 83, I was not even born, but my father used to say that
83
when the riots were all taking place.
The ones done by UNP.
One that
83,
were done-
no?
83
Yeah.
riots. Okay.
Okay.
I don't know whether it was done by the UNP or
Of
not,
course.
but I'm just saying. At that time, J.R. Jayawardene should have taken action. He didn't. He failed to take action, and he just turned a
Because
blind
they
eye.
didn't know. How can they take action? Cyril Matthew and all these people. So they did. They went down, and Ranil Wickremesinghe also part of burning down the Jaffna library.
So, but that doesn't mean that in 2022 you all have to be part of burning down houses. No.
So we were not part of it. Who's saying
No,
that?
because you said no. You tried to justify when Ranil Wickremesinghe burned the Jaffna.
No, who's saying
You tried to
that?
imply that.
Who's saying we were part of burning down houses?
No,
So you own
they
the
were saying-
Aragale, now you disown the
Kala
Aragale.
could have said.
He said that if you are owning,
If you're
the 2
owning, I'm
million
saying if you're
people-
owning,
if you're
okay.
owning,
I
people are
didn't
owning.
say owning. I said people who are part of
Right,
Aragale
let-
is looking for a change,
let- let's
and
say-
those people are now supporting.
So when
us.
Sajid
Chaturanga, what you said was there were 3 million in the Aragale.
Yeah.
Out of the 3 million, 2 million are with you all.
Mostly.
Mostly 2 million are with you all.
Yeah.
So then, with that, Dr. Nalaka could have brought in the argument, if that is the case, then this vast majority of 2 million should be responsible for burning these houses.
No.
So
So only
that's-
very few people. He
that's-
said it was
that's-
organized
that is his-
petrol bomb.
that is his
That
argument.
must be that 1 million, surely.
No, no. So if the houses were burned down by the organized crime, organized team, they should have been caught by now. Why the government is not taking action? And we are very clearly saying none of our members are part of that burning down action of Aragale.
How many members you have?
Huh?
How many party members you have?
We have about 150,000.
So the Aragale has 2 million. So you can't say that when somebody gets caught, he's not a party member. You would have been very much a supporter of yours.
Supporters.
Yeah? Do you get my point? No.
Most of the supporters, most of the people who go
can you say-
SLPP voters.
let's say a supporter goes and burns the house, he's not your party member,
Right.
so you can say that he's not a party member. Yes, he's not a party member, but he's a supporter.
So let the people decide as to what
Yeah, of
happened,
course.
what transpired.
People have already decided.
And no, people are yet to decide. We
Yet
don't
to
have an election next Chaturanga.
We didn't go for election.
So as soon as we have an election, let the people decide as to who they
This
want.
arrogance is good.
That shows what to come.
Can I now ask another question?
Can I just mention one thing, because I was very much part of it. My house was burned down, right? I didn't even try to find out who did that.
Why?
Because that is because we don't hate people who hate. I'm a Buddhist, right? Hatred doesn't solve the problem, right? And there were many people in the past politically victimized by the so-called J.R. Jayawardene government. You mentioned Dinesh Gunawardene, Vijay Kumar Tunga. Those people didn't start an insurgency and go around killing people. So I don't think if somebody's arguing and say government did something bad, so we had a circumstances equal reaction. I'm very worried about what's yet to come, because Ranil Wickremesinghe will be brutal in time to come. So then, is it the way you are going to react? I don't think that is the way a democratic country should behave. Violence doesn't solve the problem, right?
Precisely.
Democracy is not violence. So if somebody thinks there's no other way we have to react that way, it's a very, very dangerous sign of.
Sandhu, now the East Province predominantly has always been a deciding factor at an election. We've seen this happening, and I think Eastern Province is probably one of the provinces in Sri Lanka that has multi-faith. You have Hindus, Muslims, you have Buddhists, you have Christians. So it's a multi-faith province. Right now, what is their sentiment like? Because now you have a very big task. You are from the upcountry, and what we've heard is that it's very difficult for people to manage what's going on in the Eastern Province. Is that true?
I don't think so. If the people of the East have confidence, that it's all how you develop confidence in them. So if you develop confidence and you give a good administration, I think East is a very good place to work.
So are you based right now in the Eastern Province?
Yeah, I am based at Trincomalee, and 2 days at Trincomalee, 1 day at Batiklu and 1 day at Ampara. So I try to cover the entire stretch. The people's mentality there, because they have gone through a war, for 30 years war conflict, they have always been against government. Whatever government comes, they are being voting against government and voting on the opposition.
No, but we saw
But
when
now-
we saw that at the 2005 presidential election, the North and East didn't vote. So as a result of that, President Mahinda Rajapaksa won the elections. Ranil Wickremesinghe lost that election in question. If they voted, hypothetically, people were of the opinion that Ranil Wickremesinghe may have won the elections. So, do the people in the Eastern Province still believe that Ranil Wickremesinghe is the savior that they can think of, or has that changed towards the SJB or even the NPP now? What do you see on the ground?
No, on the ground, what I see is that that right now the people of Eastern Province, they feel that as they have not travelled with the government, most of the MPs in Eastern Province, I feel that they are always seated in the opposition. As they are not travelled.
No, but people like in the likes of Ataul and all of them had cabinet portfolio.
No, just very few, maybe hardly one or two. So for the entire province it's not enough. Maybe for one or two districts it is. So now the people of East, when you compare with other provinces, they are more backward. Sometimes they are even more backward than the upcountry. So when I have a repeated chat with them, I understand that they have not got the government services like which has been given to other provinces. The East has not got an equal share in the government services because their representatives in the government have not been there. Relationship with His Excellency Ranil Wickremesinghe is they have a very good respect on him, thinking that out of the present situation, the major projects which are being bought by the present President Ranil Wickremesinghe on the East compared to all the other provinces. For example, the port development and the industry spark and all that, which is going to give a very big job certainty to the people of the East. So the people in the East, they have always been supportive to last elections. Most of them have supported to Portua, and right now the Portua is working with RW. Right now is working with RW.
Portua is working with RW.
Yes, in the cabinet they are working with RW. No, right now they are working with RW.
No, because Basil Rajapaksa says something else.
No, I'm talking about the cabinet MPs.
Cabinet MPs, yeah. Okay.
So most of the development given by him have come to the Eastern Province. So now the people think that yes, that somebody is concentrating on Eastern Province. Otherwise, I don't think East was much concentrated.
Does the CWC going to field candidates from the Eastern Province?
No, we haven't, because Ceylon Workers Congress is an almost 80 years old political party, and we have had a lot of opportunities to fill candidates in North and East. We are not diverted from.
But don't you think, Sendil, when you appoint as the governor of the Eastern Province, I was trying to figure out why an individual from the CWC is appointed as the governor of the Eastern Province. Wouldn't have preferred the Central Province for a change?
No, but 2-3 things, because I run a political party in Central Province, Uva Province, Sabragama and all that. So people might think that I may take biased decisions. So though we had an opportunity to run a political party in East and North, till today we have not run a party because we never wanted the intention to get into their political field, because there is already political parties there. And so I am very supportive to both ruling party and the opposition MPs there. I work with everyone there.
Because it's very similar to a cabinet portfolio when you are the governor of a particular
the issue is I don't have a cabinet minister in East, so I have to do the work of that also. So I am very fair enough with all the communities, and all the communities are given spaces. And I feel that East has 15, right now they have 15,000 woman-headed families. Woman-headed families who have lost their husbands and all that during the war. So we are trying to concentrate them with self-employment, because there are no government jobs which are going to come because of the IMF conditions. We are excess in government jobs. So we are planning for a lot of self-employment programs and things like that to, get them into the mainstream. Otherwise, when they get isolated, their frustration is back on the government, not on anybody else. So we are trying to neutralize that frustration and make sure that they feel that Sri Lanka is their country. Now, for example, even celebrating Independence Day in East is becoming a big question.
When celebrated Pongal, was it in the Central Province that Jeevan Tondaman had a few celebrities from South India?
That is question you must ask him. I will tell you.
Your party, no.
It was not celebrated by my party. It was celebrated by the ministry. So it was not celebrated. 1 minute. It was not celebrated.
You were not aware.
No. It was not celebrated by the.
How much was
political
money?
Everything you must ask him, because he's the one who is the host. So it's better he gives a better answer. So
he paid from his own pocket.
I said that you must ask him. I can't answer on his behalf. No.
But you have to put a stop for all these rumors now. See, Divank is trying to put a stop for all the rumors.
If there's a rumor about me, yes, I can. I can't stop a rumor about another minister
But
because
you all share the same.
yeah, but it's better if he gives a better clarification.
Let's
so
come
you
to
will
the topic,
still more this
Sajid.
thing. On that one, I just want to make a small correction there. So we're talking about the East final thing. So I feel that if the people there are also pulled into the mainstream, I always tell the MPs that try to get more developments to the community because very backward, very, very backward. And even I think with Trincomalee district doesn't have even a state minister. Ampara district even doesn't have a state minister. Only Batiklo has. With the support of the Batiklo ministries only.
Would you organize an event like that in the Eastern Province?
We have organized that.
No, I mean like a Pongal ceremony, bring down South Indians.
No. 1 minute. this is we have.
Because you are the governor, no?
No, 1 minute.
You are saying that you can't. You can't answer the question for Jeevan.
Right,
I understand. That's not a problem. But would you have organized something like that?
We have organized a bigger event than that. I had around 1008 Pongal pots. I had around.
No, do you have South Indian artists also coming to the country?
No, I
He
didn't have
with the
any.
local artists.
I didn't have any artists coming for that event. But I have also celebrated Iftar.
Because in the event that people give you all a mandate, if you all are going to organize from public's money, Pongal ceremonies and all that, I don't think
from public money they have organized. I'm not sure, but I'm just trying to say. But
today ask him, Jeevan, because Sandip, because next time you come on the show, I'm going to ask you the question whether you ask.
I'll answer you the same question. You have to get him to the show and ask this question.
Yeah, sure.
Sandip, yeah. So, as a party, what does CW prefer now? A presidential election or a parliamentary election?
No, as a party, I prefer this country should go forward. No, only if this country is there. If there's a ground, only you can play a football or cricket. Now the country itself is a big chaos. We are coming out of this. You are bringing a man from an ICU to a normal ward. Now all the doctors want to fight. I want to treat him. When the man was almost critical, he's going to die. Nobody came forward to at least give him an injection. Now when this man is getting ready and coming out of the ICU,
You're talking about Sajid Premadasa?
No, I'm talking about Sri Lanka. I'm talking about the country.
Divank can answer that if you want.
I'm talking about Sri Lanka. Now everybody wants to come, put hand and
Divank,
say,
I didn't know Sajid Premadasa wanted to become a doctor. We know he distributes buses and all that.
Yeah. So we sent a letter.
He prescribed medicine during the.
We sent a letter with condition. The patient didn't want to take the prescription.
Go ahead, Sandip.
So I feel that this country we should forget all this. We have political rivalries and all that and everything. Yes, NPP and CWC would have clashes. NPP, CWC and SJP would have had clashes. CWC and Port would have had clashes. SLF, this is politics. Yes, would have. But now I don't feel it's the time to challenge somebody who's trying to bring this country out. So I feel that at the Ceylon Workers Congress, I feel that.
Are you saying that because you got the post of governor?
No, even before that I told that. So I feel that even if we are not given a post of governor, or even if somebody else had become the prime minister and taken this country so forward, yes, we would have been supporting them. So we have thought that as Sri Lanka we must all be together. We have differences of opinion. We all have differences of opinion. We want to put that aside. And I'm not saying anybody to come to join CWC or CWC to go join UNP. I'm not telling that. Let us all build the country and then, we pick the best choice of it. That's what I feel.
Now let me ask Divank, should there be general elections and should your party win it, how soon can the public expect local government elections, which are long delayed? And the local government elections form the bedrock of democracy. How soon?
If we have the general elections, thereafter, like everybody agrees, we'll have to have the presidential election.
Right.
Because the term will run out.
Okay. So then you have both of those. How soon would you have?
So like we've all agreed, we'll have to bring in the budget, number one. So because we can always say, like I said, we can have all 4 elections this year. But I don't think it's physically possible for any of the parties to do that, have an election after another when we are in this crisis situation. So if we have a general election and we come into government, then we'll have to run a presidential election, which will spend more. Then you'll have to wait, build up on the budget, and then have the general, and then even the provincial elections. The provincial councils will have to be held. So we do agree, but giving a timeline is quite difficult because once you run 2 elections, until you form yourself. Within 1 year, when you have 2 elections, you have to bring that money, stabilize the country, and then run it for more. Not that we don't want elections, because once we get the government, obviously there will be a sway. That's how it happens normally. The presidential will come and we don't mind the rest also.
Chaturanga.
Yeah, it's a similar answer. I mean, what's more important now is the parliament. As Dr. Nalaka said, there is no mandate. This country is running without a mandate, and none of the changes a president is doing has a people's mandate. So there need to be a mandate through the presidential election and the general election. Those two elections will be the most important ones at this point, and any government who comes and acts, as he said, stabilize, and as soon as the finances and the structures and the provisions are there. I mean, you need to look at how long it can be prolonged, right? Because now there's a provision that these local bodies can be held by the commissioner, and to see how fast you can bring, I think next government should bring it.
So there is a question from one of the viewers, and I want to come to Dr. Godev as well immediately. If the JP wins, if the
NP.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The question says
Purpose
JP, right? No, it says JP. That's why I can show it to you. If the JP wins or the NPP wins, like Gotabaya Rajapaksa, they will leave out the educated and the good people that formed the NPP.
Not exactly.
It won't happen.
It won't happen because we are an alliance which is built with the people who are part of the.
So we see in countries like the UK, there are shadow ministers.
Yes, I'll give you an example. So how our structure will work is, good example, Dr. Nalak also brought in, the political power was with the SLPP, and you brought in Vietmaga. Now, from JVP, we have only 2 members in parliament, and probably known few faces in the JVP who are running certain districts, right? But majority that if he wins will be NPP members, and also there's a likelihood of there will be a good mix of JVP members and new MPs taking on the portfolios, and the portfolios also will be structured in a way that there will be a council or a panel of experts who are supporting the minister as well. And what's more important is we are a party who runs on policy. So even just there's a minister, he can't do whatever things that he likes to do. It has to be a common agreement, and the cabinet will be collectively responsible, and that expert panel will be advising on the technicalities of the ministry, because not everybody can have all the details of a minister, but we do have enough people in our ranks now who has a great understanding, deep understanding of each of the subjects. So if you take health, we have few doctors and experienced personnel who's in politics. Education is the same way. So likewise, that what happened to Gotabaya's government will not happen to NPP.
So I want to go back to Dr. Gudeheva, and then I want a question that has come in from a viewer as well. First, let me hear about Dr. Gudeheva.
No, I want to comment on something that was discussed here. President Ranil Wickremesinghe keeps saying he is the one who took this responsibility and solved the problem, as if there was nobody else. I would counter that argument, because I am privy to the fact that before he was offered the premiership, yes, it was offered to the opposition leader, he didn't accept. But it was offered to some other people who were willing to accept. But the president didn't select them. There were other people who were willing to take the challenge, but the president didn't select them. The president selected Ranil Wickremesinghe as the prime minister. So that's number one. Number two, as the president, there were 3 people who contested. Honorable Andakumar Sanayaka contested, Honorable Dalasala Parama contested, and Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe won the election. So how can he say he was the only one who took upon this responsibility? I think that's a wrong impression that he's trying to create.
Yeah. So Chaturanga, there is 3 questions for you. So from one of our viewers, so I'm just going to pose to you these 3 questions. What did the JVP do in 1971 when we had reasonably honest governments in place? There was 12 months of economic ruination, and thousands of youth were misled based on the Pantipaha, of which Indian expansionism was in the forefront. Thousands of Sri Lankans lost their lives. Terror was introduced to our motherland for the first time. What was the cost of JVP activity and set back to the nation? In fact, that was a turning point from which we never recovered. The second
71?
question. 71. what was the social and financial cost to the nation of your activity in the late 1980s for over 30 months? Billions of rupees, thousands of lives, and still have leaders who celebrate what happened. I can't read the rest, so I'm just going to go to the third question. What was the cost to the students and education system due to your activity in 1971 and the late 1980s? Incalculable, is it not, to block the setting up of private medical schools which would have benefited thousands of our youth? The JVP misled youth to protest strike, closed down universities for 3 years, with students aging at home without graduating, and many more who could, like one of the current leaders, leaving for overseas to study.
Okay, so 71 and
71
and the 89.
1980 and 1989. How?
Yeah. So 71 and 89.
They say that you all were the ones who introduced. I'm sorry, JVP are the ones who introduced terror to the country.
Maybe that's the first experience in the country, which is true, right?
So 71.
71.
JVP.
Yeah. And then 87 and
So
89.
that's sad, no?
Yeah, it is sad. So it is more sadder that all our tax money has been robbed by the people who ruled this country and put our country into a deficit, and also 55% of citizens to poverty. That is also more a crime, where after the war also our debt was about 31 billion, and we could have grown the country in a better way other than rather than robbing all the tax money of this nation, right? So anyway, there are discussions to have, and there has been explanations made. I'm not going to go more detail on to that, but on the education I would take, it's not
the university protest and all
so
that. You saw the CITEM and all that.
Yeah, CITEM was an illegal institution, and it was.
But do you all believe in private education in the country?
Yes.
You all have changed now.
We do. I mean, even JVP would have agreed with certain agreements.
Because 89, when the Indian intervention took place in the country, you all were against that.
But
the Indian intervention,
yeah.
you all were against it,
Yeah.
and we saw what happened in 89 and all that. But now your leader goes to India, talks about privatization. What's the logic?
So
what's
that
thinking
time,
here?
that time it was the Indian invasion. We had Indian army here, and that
So
is
privatizing of state entities?
okay. Privatization of state entities. We have a very clear policy.
You're in the Economic Council as well of the NPP, right?
I'm in the economic. I'm not in
member
the
of-
council, but
but
I'm
you're a member
also
of
a
the committee, right?
spokesperson for economics.
Yeah,
right?
okay, very good.
So very clearly we are saying on the privatization 4 areas which are strategic, that is energy, telco, transportation, and banking, right? State will play a significant role in this country in NPP.
Will those 4 sectors be privatized, yes or no?
Those 4 areas we will not give ownership will not be fully privatized. Government will have certain control, significant control.
Is there controlling stake?
Controlling stake.
Like let's say Sri Lanka Telecom, there won't be
divestment.
divestments.
No.
So
Petroleum-
Sri Lanka Insurance, there won't be any divestment.
Sri Lanka Insurance, we can look at privatization or bringing private partners, but for a capital requirement, not selling what is
Energy, CEB is going to be
mostly
privatized.
mostly owned by government, especially the generation and the transmission, right? And then in terms of banking, we will hold on to the state banks, and we will also build 2 development
So,
banks
Shastra,
as well.
What do you have to say about the bloated public sector now?
Huh?
Bloated
Bloated
public.
Yeah, so bloated public sector is the result of a corrupt political culture, right?
You all didn't give jobs when JP was in power?
No, we didn't.
You all didn't give jobs, no?
No.
So there are no people in the Ministry of Agriculture that were put in
no one without a merit, right? And it
no
has-
one without a merit.
Yeah, right.
But there were people who were put.
I don't think that because they were JVP members, they were taken in, right? There was no incident like that. And in terms of the 1,300 we have, it's bloated, and it's also
1.6 million.
1.3 million. Yeah, 1.6 million. And in that terms, not even this government, we have a legal binding to the people who has been taken in by the previous governments, right? So you have to restructure this over a period of time.
Right. So Tivanka, now we saw a vegetable crisis in the country. Do you shop for vegetables? Have you been to a shop and seen, right? Very good. Coming from Kalaman and Ratnapur, I'm sure you would have gone to vegetable
Exactly.
shops. Do you remember how much was a kilo of carrots in December?
Close to 700 odd, no?
1,600.
Close around 2,500.
Right, okay.
I happen to go to I don't, as Sandy
Went up
said,
to 3,000.
yeah, 3,000 also. We don't have the privilege of going in Benz cars and having apartments and this, so we go to the shop and buy, and we have a
We
fairly good
we
understanding.
didn't buy carrots
So
during that period.
you stay in a small waterland of house, I suppose.
So we are very normal people, grounded and all that. So we know the price of carrots. So I'll come to
CEO of Jones Tea stays in a waterland of house.
I'll come back to you, Maitri. So my question is, the vegetable crisis that took place in the country, right? People were suffering. People didn't have vegetables in the country. How would have had the SJB solved that problem? Now there was a problem. Now don't tell me about the weather, because I don't want to hear about the weather, because that is uncontrollable. But in that situation, what would have you all done?
So, quite simply, like we do now, not being in government.
No. Divankar, very simple question. Don't complicate it.
I don't want to
If you
complicate
all
it.
were in power when the vegetable crisis took place in the country in December, January, what would you all have done?
Exactly. So let me draw a comparison. Now we are not in power. No?
If hypothetical.
So that's what I'm saying. Now we are not in power. Without being in power, still the leader is able to do a lot of things.
What is able to?
He is able to do a lot of things.
Leader?
The leader.
Lead is Sajid Premadas.
Sajid Premadas.
Okay,
You mean
but like
buses?
what? Like what?
Buses, smart classroom.
No.
Yeah, so
You're skirting around
No,
subject.
so hear me out.
We don't have time, Divankar. Soon answer.
Everybody got a chance.
Yeah, so
give
you have
me
to
the chance.
answer.
Yes, exactly.
Don't
Give
tell
me a
about
chance.
the buses and all that.
So that's what I'm saying. So we were able to do that. We understand your situation. If we had the government, we would have never gone to the crisis in the first place. Because what we spoke about is, we'll give the agriculture proper place. Now even
Like
when
how?
Yeah, so even when the economic team came to Ratnapura today, and we talked about the tea plantation, we realized that the SMEs give out, they own the least amount of land, and they give out the most to the economy. So we should ensure that we export our products properly. And to ensure that happens, we know that we have to give our levies when it comes to things like fertilizer, so that we have a good amount of crop that we can send out and build up the economy from that.
You're not answering my question, Divankar. Now, the vegetable crisis in Sri Lanka happened because there was a drought in the country. Are you aware?
So you said not to bring in the
No, so the drought is there now.
Right.
Now, if you all are ruling the country, there is a drought that takes place.
Yes.
What would you all have done alternative to bring down the prices of vegetables? Now, I'll say a classic example, will you? If you go to Dubai, a kilo of oranges is 3 dirhams, equal to 300 rupees. You get around 7 to 8 oranges per kilo if you go and buy. In Sri Lanka, one orange is around 150 rupees. 2 comes to 300 rupees. So I'm asking you, what would you do differently? Now, there are children, there are infants who require this kind of nutrition. Carrots is something that's full of vitamins. So what would you all do differently? That's all I'm asking you. Don't complicate it. Very
So
simple.
not to complicate it, like that's what I'm saying. Like
Just because you give fertilizer, if you don't have rains, you don't get the crop.
Correct. So,
like
what I was saying is at the
the-
start, without bringing in the weather. Now that you brought in the weather, so we have the crisis and all that. So what we can do is, like we bring in now, what we are doing right now, we can speak to the countries, we can speak to the people and get it down at a very import it at a rate that the people can bear it, but only for a certain time where we can build up the crop.
That's simple, Divankar. That's the answer. Right. We don't have to complicate it too much.
In
Right.
fact, that's what any
Right-minded people.
you see it happening in about 200 countries around the world.
if you go and buy onions today, it's 650 rupees a kilo.
And you can't find big onions now also.
I don't know about finding big onions. You can't afford it. That's for sure. Right. So I want to Shreya, you have any questions?
Oh, I want to ask Dr. Godahev on the economic front. I mean, we have seen somewhat a recovery, right? Do you see the same momentum could sustain after an election, even with the change of a government or change of a president?
See, one has to accept, because of the austerity measures that have been imposed by IMF, some kind of stability has come. That's a fact, no? But in that process, where attention was not sufficiently given was for the growth aspect. Focusing on the business sector, addressing their issues, then all those things that you are talking about, agriculture sector, fisheries, etc., none of those areas were given due focus. As a result, economy has not grown. I think after the next presidential election and the parliamentary election that will follow, a good team of cabinet ministers must be given responsibility to focus on different areas which are interrelated to get this economy back on track. Right now it is not happening. Right now look at the cabinet, right? Now you were talking about the scientific cabinet of President Sirisena. It's the same now, no? The industry, Minister of Industries is a very, very vital job at this stage. The same guy is handling another very vital ministry, health, right? We need at least 25. I repeat that. You can't just run the country with 20 ministers because we don't have such capable people. You need at least 25 good people to run this country at this stage. But do we have that kind of proper allocation of ministries at the moment? No, because of the politics involved, right? Because of the internal conflicts that they're having. They can't even form their proper cabinet. So those are the things that we need to change after the next election. And a proper team must be given due responsibilities, and the whole focus must be to get the economy back on track. Now even this reducing taxes, VAT and all those things that people are talking about can only be done if the economy grows, no? If the economy grows, as percentage those things can come down. If you don't focus on the economy, you have to keep on increasing.
So this is the last question. This is the last question that I'm going to ask Maitri, and then I'm going to close the session, and we'll ask for every individual to give their closing remarks. Please don't bring in new arguments because I can't go back and forth. But I'll ask one question from Maitri before that. Maitri, you blame the JVP, who was responsible for bringing this country to a state of war with other Tamil groups and the LTG costing thousands of lives. Couldn't there have been a Mandela to save this country? From which political party?
Doesn't need to be from any political party. Person who is having the interest of the country at heart and who is able to bring in a plan to recover this from this economic chaos. Now, as Doctor was talking, President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in giving due credit to him, he has been able to stabilize the economy. Has been stabilized the economy. But Rasul, what one would want him to do is to make correct decisions to establish his credibility and his bona fides. Now, the IMF, one of the main rules of the IMF is good governance, law and order, all that has to be established. Having had the IMF regulations and the rules like that, what does he do? He appoints a IGP who has been tainted and who have been found guilty by the Supreme Court for torture. Now, is that in recognition with human rights? No way. Then the health minister was involved in a massive fraud. Ultimately, people had to go and squat and protest at the CID to get him arrested. Then thereafter, now you can see he has to appoint judges to the Supreme Court. 2 judges in the Supreme Court have not been have vacated post or have retired. 4 to 5 judges in the Court of Appeal have retired. Still, he is not appointing anyone because he says, I have nominated a person to the Supreme Court. If the Constitution Council doesn't appoint him, I'm not going to appoint anyone else. So as a result of that, what is happening is cases in the Supreme Court are only heard once a year or maximum twice a year. So, and the other thing is his actions with regard to production and bringing this economy back is all NATO. No action, talk only. You need to you need to have more production. You need to get more people to come into Sri Lanka for investment. You need to create various hubs. You need to have special task force leading those hubs and bringing more foreign investment. We have got a deficit. We have got expenses, and we have got loans, and we have got a huge deficit.
Right.
So how are we going to cover this deficit? We need to work out a plan on one piece of paper and see how we are going to do it.
I thought
that part of it is not happening for Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. So therefore, what I'm saying is that is the biggest drawback of his administration.
One thing is clear, Maitri. You are not going to support Ranil Wickremesinghe at the election.
No, the point is this. I would have supported him if he made proper decisions with regard to this appointment.
So Sandil, I just want to quickly cross over to you before I close, because Maitri brought in a valid point about the appointment of the IGP, about the appointment of the Supreme Court judges. He brings in a very valid point. The Minister of Health, because people want a system change.
That's
and
right.
When we see a 1 billion rupee scam on immunoglobulin,
that's only one drug. That's only one drug. There are so many other drugs.
There are cancer drugs. But your people also will be affected because, by that. What do you have to say about that? Do you still continue to hold that position that...
No. What my suggestion is, until and unless somebody is convicted that they are found guilty, I don't want to tarnish any politicians or any government officials' images.
Co-op committee chairman, for example.
That's what. So if everybody has a different view here, I would like to take a stand. If somebody is convicted, yes, I would like to give a very strong comment on it.
Yeah.
So without somebody is convicted, I don't want to give a strong comment on some in case they are not convicted.
Yeah, so I remember, Sandhi, when you speak about all this, I remember a statement of the first governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, John Exter. He went on to say that if there is anyone whose integrity is being questioned, that person should not be appointed as the governor of the Central Bank.
Precisely.
As such, don't you think when someone's integrity has been questioned, like the current IGP's conduct, the current co-op committee chairman's conduct, I'm not saying he's guilty, but the conduct has been questioned, don't you think the responsibility of the government in power is to get that right? Appoint people with integrity, or don't you all have anyone with integrity at all?
Rasul, when you appoint a person like that as the chairman of the co-op, you are insulting the intelligence of the people and parliament. Simple as that.
Yeah.
You don't appoint a guy like that.
No.
I mean,
it's not only president alone taking decisions. In all these things. That's what. It's not only president alone taking decisions in all these things. He has a cabinet with him. He has a committee which has to for the high post approval committee and all that.
He's saying he won't even listen to the Constitutional Council.
Who says so?
No, he doesn't.
When he doesn't listen to the Constitutional Council. No, that's his view. No,
not view. That's a fact. The Constitutional Council. No, Constitutional Council has rejected his appointment for the Supreme Court. He's now, once they reject, then what he has to do is he has to send a
new name
or a few new names. He's not letting that happen. It's just standoff. As a result of that, no Supreme Court.
I am not saying this. All this is been said by panelists.
And the other thing is, Rasul, it's very unfair. There are so many other judges who are waiting to come to the Court of Appeal. Sometimes within 1 month they are retiring. So if they come to the Court of Appeal, they get to stay till 63. If they go to the Supreme Court, they get time to stay till 65. So all those opportunities are being lost by one man's arrogance.
Maitri, you have to let your friend know. You have to let him talk.
Yeah. He will give me a little time. There is no problem.
These are things which have been discussed in the cabinet, and there will be certain reasons why nobody wants to put a person who is not efficient, or nobody wants to do something which is not good for the country. I don't think any president will want to do that. But what I feel is it would be better if the cabinet spokesman talks about this, because as a governor, we are not involved in these kinds of appointments.
But don't you think because of all these reasons, people are not going to vote in Ranil Wickremesinghe?
See, you are just looking on the one point of the view. You must ask another point of the view.
Sindhil, what is this? We are talking about what is being injected on my body.
No, I am not telling that. I am not arguing or I am not talking in favor of it. I am telling you because these are technical things, should be answered exactly by the cabinet spokesman, who will be able to give a better picture about me. If you talk something about Eastern Province or Provincial Council system, yes, I'll be able to give you a very good answer about
But
it.
Senthil, now I asked you about the Pongal celebrations in the central province. You
No,
didn't
I
ask
told
that.
you I have to ask you.
Right. So I want to close the session now. Let's start off with Attorney at Law Tivanka Atikala. Your closing remarks. What's the way forward? What will you all do differently? I'll give you 2 minutes.
So the way forward is elections, obviously. President elections are on the line, and we are hoping the president will keep up to his word on the elections. Even if he calls in for general elections, we have no issue with that. But like you said, and like you've been asking, we need to, and we will in the future inform who the premier would be if we run for general elections. But when you say policy, I think from the get-go, we talked about policy. And with the economic crisis, we brought in what we call the blueprint. And he has the leader, but who we say, Mr. Premadas has brought in his team. Because the leader, like we all accept, one person can't do it all. So you have to appoint people, you have to delegate the job. So he has delegated it, he's given it to the members, and he has sent it down the line. So our teams are working on it. We put our policy and we put our economic policy first. Because like we always believe, first we need political stability, which is elections, governments with mandates, presidents with mandates. Then with that, we have to resolve the economic crisis as soon as possible. Otherwise, we won't have a country to live in. Quite simply, there will be utter chaos. So once we bring in that, like Mr. Liatna Thambi says, we can bring in the rest of the elections. We can bring in surplus, hopefully, as soon as possible, with the best possible way, and calling for election. Then everybody can run.
Surplus to what?
To the budget.
To the budget. Budget surplus.
Yeah.
Very optimistic.
Very optimistic. You have to know. Otherwise, what's the point? If you always say...
So you always change the policies with the IMF also,
No, not directly.
Directly, what do you mean? Who are you going
in
to
a
change
sense,
it with?
not a 360 or 180 turn. But we will, reform it to balance our policy and work on it. That's what Mr. Premadas said when he met them also.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Attorney at Law Tivanka Atikala, Chief Organizer for Kalamana from the SJB. Chaturang Abhisingh, a National Executive Committee member of the NPP.
Yeah, so the citizens of this country is well aware that the rulers who has ruled us for the past 70 years has, failed in our legal systems, our economic systems and social systems. So the whole country is looking for a change, and that change is brought in by a new alliance called NPP, and which is a JVP-led alliance, and we are bringing the things that people has been asking for: a policy-driven nation, integrity in terms and accountability in terms of politicians. And this is what people have to test now. I wouldn't doubt that it's a test, and we have tested many things knowingly that it will be corrupt and it will rob our tax money. We knowingly did that. Now it's time for us to change. Especially the next government of NPP will ensure health, education and food security to everyone in this country, and also put Sri Lanka in the trajectory of the other nations which developed after 1950, ensuring there's a national plan for growth and ensuring that national plan is supported by education, huge reforms in education, and in terms of ensuring that we will have a good international ties in terms of world trade, and asking for foreign direct investment for the areas that we want: capital, technology, and market access. So there are so many reforms that Sri Lanka did not do where the other countries have done, which has led to this becoming last in the global economic indexes, first in at the top of global corruption indexes, and last in the global ease of doing business indexes, and also now we are having 55% of our population in the multidimensional poverty index. So this is the outcome, and we need to make a change, and there is significant support coming from citizens in various places to support NPP to form a new government and a fresh mandate.
Thank you very much, Chaturanga, for your thoughts. I now move my attention towards Dr. Nala Gudeheva, Member of Parliament.
See, for the government to change, first of all, there has to be either general election or a presidential election. I sincerely hope that it won't be a general election, because if there's going to be a general election, no party is going to get the 113, the way I see it. But I believe the SJB is more likely to get the majority of the seats, so the SJB candidate will become the president at the following presidential election. However, he won't have a stable government for the next 2.5 years. The president cannot dissolve the parliament for 2.5 years. So therefore, I hope the first election will be a presidential election, which is inevitable as per our constitution, and there whoever wins will have the parliamentary support, because the parliamentary election will follow suit and there will be a stable government. Again, irrespective of whoever wins the presidential election, I think what is more important is to have the best team in place, because no one person can solve the problem, because we have gone so deep into the crisis. You need a very good team to get us out of this crisis, not just a leader but a team who works around that. So therefore, the people of this country will have to look at the best team. When you say best team, it is not just theory. People who have proven in the past, who have experience not only as politicians but also as in their businesses, professions, whatever. So we must look at which team can put forward a team like that with the experience and the credentials, and then works towards a plan. If everybody has presented plans, and when we look at it now, most of the parties have more or less the same plans. So the difference will be in the team.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nala Gudaheva. I now move my attention towards President's Counsel Maitri Gunaratne, former Governor of the Central Province.
Thank you, Rasul. What we must realize is our politicians, political parties have failed this country for the last 76 years. We have got only another 24 years to reach the centenary mark. So it is time for right-thinking people to come together, successful people to come together and steer this country towards this successful towards this dreamland. Today, if good people who want a system change, who want this country to develop, are shying away and running away from politics, then this is not going to change. So all I want and I urge is for good people to come and make this change now. It is not like Rasul says, I'm going to come into politics in 10 years' time. It has to happen now. If it happens now, this is the opportune time. This opportunity will never come again. I don't think it will ever come again, because the floating voter or the people who are undecided is growing every day. So if we can get that right group of people to come in and contest the next election from all districts of Sri Lanka, then we can make the rightful change. That is the change we need to make, because if we do not step in, I don't need to do politics, but I am doing it because I feel we must do something for this country. We must do something better for this country when we leave, rather than when we came. So therefore, I call upon all right-thinking people, like-minded people to get together to make this change.
Thank you very much.
And that includes Rasul also.
Thanks a lot, Maitri. I now move my attention to Mr. Sendil Thundaman, President of the CWC, as well as the Governor of the Eastern Province.
So, Rasul and your colleagues, thank you for inviting me, and it was a good place for me to give our views on the government. Especially, I would like to say that, we have always not been with the present president. We have also worked with the past presidents also. But at the time of this hour, I feel that my view is that he is the correct person at this time of our hour, because Sri Lanka alone can't come out of this crisis. We definitely need the support from the international communities, and out of the whoever says to be the presidential candidates, whoever says they are going to contest and all that, I feel that the best person having a very good international relationship, because when the previous president was there, I couldn't find any international support coming in. If the international support would have come in, I don't think the previous president would have been leaving the country and resigning his work. But when this president, when he took over as the prime minister and president, I could see a lot of international communities extending their support and all that. That's because they both understand the working system. So I feel that Sri Lanka is still not out of the crisis. and we are from worse to bad, and from bad we are getting to better, and then from better we have to go to good. Now I don't want to take a risk now by saying that okay, if there's going to be somebody else who's going to come and they're going to do better than this, a man who has not proven, if I'm just going to trust him rather than a man who has proven, I don't think I'm talking the reality. Here I feel that His Excellency the President Ranil Wickremesinghe has proven that yes, he can do it, and he's almost halfway through with the same team which the former president couldn't prove. He's using the same team, and with the same team he's taking forward the country. I feel that maybe after the president election, he might, with the new parliament, he might have still more better colleagues joining him additionally to this, which will help to recover the country. So I feel always to go with the visibility rather than an imaginary calculations. On the present visible calculation, I feel that Honorable Ranil Wickremesinghe is the best option here.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sendil Solomon. President of the CWC as well as the Governor of the Eastern Province. Sendil, you've been the only person when called from the government who comes very quickly without a problem, right, Nilesh? We have never had a problem with Sendil. when we call government ministers or anyone to attend,
which we do
every week. Yes. It's very difficult to get someone. So thank you very much, Sendil, for that. Maitri Gunrat, the former governor of the Central Province, he's also the President's Council. He's also a President's Council. Dr. Nala Gudeheva, Member of Parliament. Chaturanga Abhisinga, National Executive Committee member of the NPP, as well as Attorney at Law Thivanka Artigala, Chief Organizer for Kalavana. Thank you very much, Niresh Letambi. Niresh is the Consultant Director at Newsfirst, as well as Shihar Raniz, Executive Director for the Center for Investigative Reporting. Thank you very much for those who joined us via SMS. Most of you sent statements, most of you sent comments, so I was not being able to take those, but those who posed questions, I took them as much as possible for our panelists today on the number 07665655353. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. By voting, we add our voice to the chorus that forms opinions and the basis for actions. So it's time now for you to take actions immediately. Take care and good night.